Whatever you do, don't ever hang your hands off the edge of the bed. It was a lazy Friday night. I was binging on my kind friend's Netflix account while eating another microwavable meal. I turned off my crappy 30-inch smart TV and decided to call it a day. The weekend was always the favorite part of my week. I didn't have to go to that dusty old gas station and stand at the counter all day. It always surprised me why the gas station wasn't closed down yet. On a busy week, I would get about 5 customers. I had these thoughts in my head as my body switched to autopilot. I walked to the bathroom, brushed my teeth, and jumped right into my cheap single bed. The springs in the mattress squeaked in protest. I pulled my blanket over me and relaxed. The usual anxious thoughts filled my mind as they always do at night. Do I even have a future? Am I going to die in this stupid apartment? I pushed them to the back of my mind and turned over on my side. I closed my eyes and naturally hung my hand over the edge of the bed, as there wasn't much space on the bed anyway. I struggled to get into a comfortable position on the rock-hard mattress. Sometimes I wonder if it'll be easier sleeping on the floor. I closed my eyes and tried to fall asleep. More and more thoughts filled my head, and one by one disappeared. My thoughts just jumbled up on top of each other, and my mind got foggy. I was on the brink of sleep. Suddenly, I felt an icy grip on my hand that sent chills down my spine, and my sleepiness disappeared. I couldn't move. I tried as hard as I could, but my muscles were not working. The grip on my hand got stronger and stronger. I saw another pale, ghostly hand holding onto my hand that was hanging off the bed. Then suddenly the hand pulled. Its pull was strong, and combined with my paralyzed body, I fell out of the bed and came face to face with what was pulling me. She was under my bed. Her whole face was as white as a sheet of paper with bluish veins running through them like thin worms. Black, dirty tangle of hair covered both sides of her face. Her eyes awoke a primal fear within me. They were way too big and circular. The little whites that her eyes had were pure white and devoid of any veins or blemishes. Her pupils were deep black and expanded until they covered most of her eyes. Her pupils made the white of her eyes just an outline. She had no eyebrows, which I guess is what unnerved me. If the description of her face and eyes made you uncomfortable, perhaps you would skip to the next paragraph. Her mouth was even worse. She had no lips. Her mouth looked like a hole on a white cloth. Her teeth were yellow and disproportionate. I screamed as she slowly started reaching out to me with white, blood-stained hands. Fortunately, I suddenly regained movement of my muscles and my paralysis wore off. I lurched away from the bed and frantically made my way out of the room. I stood outside my room for some time. My heart slowly stopped pounding, and my mind started to rationalize what had just happened. Must have been sleep paralysis, I thought to myself, as my heart returned to its slow, rhythmic beats as I grasped control of the situation. I walked back into my room, and surely there was nothing there. I checked under my bed, slowly expecting to get eaten by whatever the hell that was. There was nothing there. I chuckled nervously as I laid back down in my bed. What I saw next will never leave my mind. There she was, somehow stuck onto my roof. Her hair was hanging downwards, and her neck bent backwards nearly 360 degrees. She was looking down at me. Her whole of a mouth curled into a menacing smile, and she emitted a high-pitched sound. I stumbled out of my bedroom and grabbed my car keys and coat. She slowly followed me out. I got into my car and sped off until she was far, far away. Once I had calmed down a bit, I decided to go to a club or bar. Later in the morning, I would have headed off to my friend's house. I made it to my local bar and ordered a large glass to soothe my nerves. People were talking all around me, and I felt generally safer with everyone else around. Then I saw her outside the bar window. My breath caught in my throat as she came closer and closer. I pushed and jostled through the crowded bar and made it to the exit. I ran to my car and drove. I've been on the road for a couple of days now. I'm running out of money and time. She appears as soon as I stop somewhere, and she will slowly walk towards me. It took me a couple of days to write this post. I wrote this solely as a warning to all of you guys. Once she's done with me, she'll come for more people. Whatever you do, don't you ever hang your hands off the edge of the bed. My girlfriend got lost, playing the hooded man ritual. I went to get her back. Part 1. Do you know about the hooded man ritual? X, my girlfriend, asked me 3 days ago. I'm not calling my friend X to protect her privacy. It's because I don't remember her name. She's slowly disappearing from our lives, like she never existed. Even her parents have forgotten her name. I don't know how I still remember. It all started last Saturday afternoon. X was talking about a new ritual called the hooded man ritual. I don't remember her too well, but I do know she was really into rituals and horror stuff. She would always talk about urban legends and rituals, and even did some. I remember doing the midnight man ritual with her. On the other hand, I'm the complete opposite. I'm a skeptic, and I don't really believe in the other world. I just played along with her like she supported my interests. Well, I used to be a skeptic. My girlfriend literally disappeared after that day. No one remembers her, and even my memory of her is fading away. I don't remember her face and how she looks no matter how hard I try. I can only feel her missing existence, like a vital part of my body has gone missing. My memory only allows me to trace it back to that afternoon she talked about the hooded man ritual. I've asked all my other friends about her, and they don't remember her. I got made fun of. Even her parents don't remember her. Over the days, I am losing more and more of her. I don't want to lose her, and I've decided that the only way I can save her is to go do that stupid ritual. I might be able to bring her back. If you want to know more about the hooded man ritual, you should read about it here, but I'll still summarize it for you. In the hooded man ritual, you basically call for a cab with 2 black cords at night. Once you're done dialing the number and following the steps, you can open your curtains, and you may see the sky has changed a bit, but also a black cab right outside your house. You have to exit your house and then sit in the back seat of the black cab. You will find it empty. Then you have to fall asleep. Once you wake up, it should be 3:30 a.m. You should bring a watch with you to check this. Fall asleep again, and you will wake up inside the cab, except this time it will be in motion, and a hooded man will be driving it. You can sit in the cab and observe the weird landscape of the other world. There may be another passenger. It is usually advised not to talk to them. Whenever you want to leave, lean close to the hooded man's ear and say, "I have reached my destination." You will fall asleep and wake up in your house. Again, if you want to read a more detailed guide, you can read through the above link. I followed the steps for the ritual and hung up my phone. I walked over to my curtains and pulled them open. The sky was a purple color and it was devoid of clouds. I looked across the street and sure enough, there was a black cab parked there. After a bit of internal fighting with myself, I put the old-fashioned silver watch I got from my dad on my wrist. I walked outside and towards the black cab. Its windows were tinted and it looked quite eerie. I put my hand firmly around the handle and opened the door to the back seat. It was quite comfortable inside. The seats were light leather colored and were very comfortable. I closed the door behind me and fell asleep in no time. I woke up slowly and was momentarily confused when I found myself in the cab. My heart raced as I checked the watch. 3:30. I prepared myself to fall asleep again, and once again it didn't take too long for me to fall asleep. I woke up to the humming sound of a car engine. I opened my eyes and found myself in the same cab. It was moving on a highway. The sky was of a reddish shade with a massive plus sign burned into it. The highway was surrounded by dull fields. I nearly had a heart attack when I noticed the hooded man driving the car. He was dressed in all black and had a hood covering his face. He drove the cab silently. I was just about to ask him about my girlfriend when suddenly something clicked in my mind. I remembered everything. Her name was Manal, I remembered how she looked like. I remembered her personality. I remembered everything. It was like some part of my brain just turned on. This made me even more determined to find her, and so I steeled myself and asked the hooded man firmly, "Where is Manal?" He pondered on the question for a moment before he answered in a deep, monotone voice devoid of emotion, "Wait until the end." I was about to ask hundreds more questions when I came to my senses and realized that I'd just broken a rule by talking to him. My voice caught in my throat and my heartbeat rose. I rubbed my sweaty palms together nervously. I decided not to ask any more questions. The hooded man started laughing, a laugh that sent chills down my spine to this day, a laugh that echoes in my ears again and again. He then composed himself and continued driving. I was shivering uncontrollably from fear. To soothe my nerves, I decided to look outside at the scenery. The fields were now full of strange animals. Animals that resembled cows walked around eating the grass in the fields. They had purple skin and eyes in front of their face like a human. Each animal got more and more messed up as the cab drove along the highway. Soon the fields were filled with lots of wooden poles. Each had human heads on them. Some were fresh with blood still dripping down from them, while some were old and half decaying. The landscape got more and more chaotic as I went on. Soon the heads disappeared, and the highway went into a forest. I saw people pinned to trees and being mutilated by hooded figures. They were all under various forms of torture, and their mouths were twisted into screams. The trees were all black and dead like they had been burnt. I saw one man with the skin from his face being peeled off. I could see the flesh underneath. His eyes were wide open. His mouth was in the form of a scream. He was pinned to the tree with large metal nails at his shoulders. He kicked his legs like crazy. I grew more and more uneasy and disturbed. My mind could not make sense of some of the things I was seeing. I remembered that the ritual outlined that if I wanted to leave, all I had to do was tell the hooded man. Then my goal came to mind, and I put myself together. I had to find her. Suddenly the cab came to a stop. The door opened, and a tall woman stepped into the cab.